Welcome to Heartfelt with Julie Majarison, a space for honest stories, tender truths, and soul-deep conversations. I'm your host, Julie Majarison, and here we explore the questions that stir something real in us. Questions about joy, fear, healing, and the moments that shape who we are. Each episode is an invitation to slow down, go deeper, and hear the kind of stories that remind us we're not alone in this human experience. So wherever you are right now, thank you for being here. Let's begin. Welcome to Heartfelt with Julie Majarison podcast. I am so excited today. I have Donagh. Donagh is the creator of Grit and Grace. It's a podcast that I have been really enjoying listening to weekly, and I just love her theme song. Donagh has spent 34 years in the accounting industry and is passionate about making the financial side of business feel clear and calm, while also supporting the mindset and leadership it takes to build something sustainable. A big part of her message is that success shouldn't require self-sacrifice. It requires standard, boundaries, and repeatable habits that support the life you're building. Wow, there's a lot of things in there that I need to get better at, and I've been really enjoying learning through Grit and Grace, and I loved Donna's 100-acre wood section that she'll talk about. Boardroom, yeah. So I won't get into it. I'll let Donagh have the microphone for that. So welcome, Donagh.
Thank you for having me, Julie.
Oh, my pleasure. It has been really, really exciting is it weekly? Grit and Grace goes on?
Yes, weekly. I think we're up to episode 12, so it's still very new in the overall scheme of things, but it's been going super well and landing with a few people that it needed to land with. And as you mentioned, with the 100-acre boardroom, it was a reading Winnie the Pooh as an adult, and then realizing how many of those characters are actually either in our lives or in our businesses. And realizing that reading these books as an adult is so different to reading them as a child. As a child, it's just Winnie the Pooh, it's Eeyore and Piglet, and they have very distinct characteristics. And as an adult, when you read those same about those same characters, they all have the same characteristics, but there's people in your life, there's people in your business that you come across and you go, oh my goodness, that's how I really need to relate to that person because they are Eeyore through and through. And we all know Eeyore is a manic depressive. As an adult, as a child, we just think he's a sad donkey. So when you put that into a work spot or a grown up in adult life, it's a very different way of looking at things.
Yeah, so true. Well, because I work for myself, I actually really could resonate with all parts of that in me. Times that I'm a bit like Tigger, times I'm a bit like Piglet, Eeyore,
I think
and
we all are to a degree, and like the one that we would actually really aspire to be in the overall scheme of things is just to be Christopher Robin, because he's just the calm through the whatever storms the other characters are going through, and whether it's Eeyore because he's so sad about something, or Tigger because he's just bouncing from one thing to the other. But Christopher Robin is just smooth sailing all the way. He just holds the course, and I think he is the true treasure of the 100-acre boardroom.
yeah, I want to challenge myself and actually to read Winnie the Pooh, but I'm a little bit scared that I'm not going to be able to articulate it the same way you have, Donagh. So I'm still just enjoying how you've seen it at this point.
I'm actually looking at other children's books as well, just to see how the characters reveal themselves and really enjoying how naive we are as children and then what you see when you are an adult. So things like Roald Dahl's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Willy Wonka and the Oompa Loompas and Violet Beauregard and what's his name? Little Charlie. I can't think of his name now. Charlie, the one who won the last golden ticket, and how they could possibly be in our society around us, and they are. So yeah,
Mm.
yes, I will be
Yeah.
exploring a few more books like that.
Yeah, I'll look forward to it. I love your theme song. It's just yeah, it plays in the background for the day that I've ever listened to that podcast, and it's just got a great upbeat music and feel good. I
It's
certainly
a
feel
it's a
good.
really it really does set you up for the day, and a lot of the commentary that I've had about the song is that I don't know whether people are actually looking forward to listening to the song, which is why I always put it at the end. Uh, so you do actually have to listen to the podcast to get to it. I suppose you can fast forward, but um, it has a lot of meaning for me in the sense of I like to think that I approach a lot of things with a true amount of grace and resilience and a certain amount of tenacity. And that's what everything is about business. It's tenacity. And yeah, that's how Grit and Grace was realistically born. It was like, okay, let's get some of this down and out of my brain and into the universe.
Well, you're doing well. Okay, let's start on these questions. And what brings you joy, Donna?
Professionally, um, genuine joy when I see someone who goes from being meltdown, super anxious, no idea where to start, making things too complex in their own life, and then I give them something that is actually doable, achievable, super easy to do, tools that they didn't know were available. A couple of times, not a couple of times, a lot of times I've had people actually bounding out of the office and skipping across the road. And I know that what I've done has made a difference because I've seen that true reflection in them. And then it's starting to see these people then have the weight of the world lifted off their shoulders, whether it's because someone has actually just listened to them or given them tools that they can use. But that gives me real joy. Um, Personally is a little different these days. Um, Quite happy to just sit on my veranda and watch the world go by and watch the birds and listen to the birds and the animals all around me. Uh, Love sunsets and love sunrises. So um, yeah, nothing super duper in there, but very much nature oriented.
I'm actually hearing a couple of puppies barking about this, them not being noticed in the joy bit.
They are actually all asleep.
Oh, well, lucky because I might have had something to say about that.
No, no, no. If I move, they may say something, but at the moment they are all asleep. They are all around me, but they are all asleep.
What fear do you have that you're aware of that's holding you back?
Self-doubt. It's one of the biggest things that we as women in business tend to have. Usually comes along with imposter syndrome where we're thinking that we're just not good enough. We don't want to stick our head up because we're going to have the fear of being chopped off because we have this tall poppy syndrome thing in Australia. We're so good at it. So we're frightened to stick our head out. It's not a case of waiting till you've got something perfect before you actually do it. And the words of two of my coaches actually say it's progress over perfection.
Mm.
And that was ringing in my ears when I actually launched my podcast because I was waiting for the right time. I was waiting for the right background to be behind me. I was waiting for the right sound system. I was waiting for the right videography equipment, all those sorts of bits and pieces. And then this progress over perfection just hit me and slapped me around the face. And I go, okay, we're just going to press play on this and go for it and haven't looked back.
Mm.
So yeah, it's that fear, I suppose, for a lot of us is just sticking our head out and afraid that we're going to get it chopped off. But once you stick your head out and you find you didn't get your head chopped off, then it's like, I wonder how far we can do that the next time and the next time and the next time. So yeah, and it was like, I think it's something that we all struggle with as particularly as women in business.
Yeah, yeah, well said. Have you ever had a life-changing moment that you'd like to share about?
I will share this one and I'll give it a trigger warning as well. The life-changing moment was 8 months ago, yesterday, when I woke up and found my husband had passed away in his sleep overnight. Um, it didn't change what was going on in the world, but it changed my world. It changed my priorities, it changed my tolerances, it changed my relationship with time in some respects because my time kind of stood still and the rest of the world kept going. And then you, as a grieving person, and particularly someone who's in business, you're not actually allowed to have time to grieve properly. Um, so yeah, that was a pretty big change in my world. I think it's also left me with no filter, if that's a thing. And I don't know if that's because I've reached that certain age that women don't talk about an awful lot, being menopause, whether it's a menopause filter, whether it's a grief filter, or what it is. But I certainly know that I will speak my mind these days rather than actually backtrack, because there's just so much out there for people to do. And the stories that I hear them bringing to me when the worst thing that they've got is a paper cut while they were filing their paperwork. And I don't have my husband anymore. I'm sorry. I don't have that filter anymore.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Has there been a moment that you wish you could freeze in time?
I think there's several, and looking back, knowing what happened with my husband, every time you go somewhere with your loved ones, whether it's your kids, your mum and dad, your significant other, your friends, whoever it is, try and freeze some of those memories in time, whether it's take the photos, don't make the excuses that you can't go and do these things. Go and enjoy them while you can because nobody knows how much time they actually have anymore. And there's so many things that my husband and I wanted to do and that we're not going to get to do together. He's with me, but not in the way he should be. And he should be with me when we go out back. He loved the outback, and we had planned to go touring the outback together. And that's not going to happen now. So all I have are the memories from the last time we travelled out back together, which was 4 years ago. And I wish I took more photos, and I wish I had spent more time instead of doing that particular trip we did in 4 days. And we went out to Bulia. We basically went from Gympie to Longreach to Bulia, and then wove our way back. There was one thing that we did well, and that was we packed a hell of a lot into a very short space of time. And I think I would like to have had more time to do those things.
Hmm. Hmm. Do you have a trigger that you would like to share about?
I get triggered when people, what is the right word? Underestimate me.
Okay.
And underestimate themselves. It's a really hard thing to express in some respects because with women around me, I see a lot of them who underestimate their own ability. They will say things like, I'm just an accountant. And that was one thing that I used to say an awful lot. I've realized that I am not just an accountant, I am an awful lot more than that. And it has taken me a long time to get to that point. Um, they also say things like, oh, you're so strong, or at least this, or there's always that negative connotation before they launch into something else. And I really just want to get out there and slap them. Because it's so demeaning to themselves. And they just don't realize the power of what they are saying in that negative context to themselves. They're
Mm,
reinforcing that negativity instead of getting that positivity out there and actually realizing they are very capable beings and very capable at what they do. They have got great emotions. And it doesn't matter whether you're neurodivergent, whether you're neurotypical, it doesn't matter. That is all part of who you are. And,
mm,
I hear them, oh, I've got ADHD, so that's an excuse. No, it's not. It's a superpower. Um, any neurotypical person has a superpower, and it's realizing you have it as a superpower and that it is possible to use it in your business and in your life rather than
mm.
using it as an excuse. And yeah, that's the biggest trigger is people using things as an excuse or underestimating themselves.
Yeah, it sounds like you want to empower them.
Yeah, I don't like to use the word empower too much because I think it's an overused word.
Okay.
Um, so I'd rather use slap them around the face with a wet fish.
Okay, if that does it for you, that's fine. If a genie jumped out of the bottle and granted you one wish, what would that be?
Emotional and financial safety for everyone, whether it's women, children, and it's not a slogan and it's not like world peace or anything like that, but it should be a lived reality. Everybody should be able to feel safe. And they need to be able to feel safe from a financial perspective and from an emotional perspective. And there's far too many people who are either financially distressed or distressed in their homes or in their workplaces or their schools or their everyday life. And I think it's a fair call to say that we should all be able to just be emotionally and financially safe.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
if the
that's a
genie,
beautiful
if
wish.
Genie had the Genie from Aladdin had that wish, then yeah, I think that would be a great thing. And it doesn't
Hmm.
mean we all have to be the same, because that would mean life is boring. But I think it would mean that people can then concentrate on other things that need to be changed in the world as well.
Yeah, yeah. What is something that you've never said out loud that you wish someone would ask you about?
Probably, what has this cost you? Not in, I don't mean in a pitying way, just in a respectful way. Because sometimes people see strength and resilience as, it's the prize. They don't actually see that there is a cost to get to that prize. And
Hmm.
it needs to be acknowledged that there is a journey and that there is a cost to get to that point. Someone is acknowledged as being strong, and we see them on the news all the time, oh, this woman's strong and isn't she wonderful? She's beaten breast cancer and all this sort of stuff. And we're just looking at the prize of she's beaten breast cancer. We're not actually looking at the journey to get there. And as far as a breast cancer survivor is concerned, there is a certain amount of financial cost, emotional cost, physical cost. And we don't tend to take that into account when we're talking to people. We sort of, oh, isn't it wonderful she survived?
Hmm.
What was the cost to actually get there? Because
Yeah,
that's where the growth is in that person. And they can either give up or they can turn around at the end of the day and say, you know what, I'm not giving up. No one's going to take this away from me. At the end of the day, I want the prize and I'm prepared to put in the work to get to that
yeah,
prize.
yeah. Yeah, that's beautifully said. When was the last time you truly felt seen, and what was about that moment that has stayed with you?
When people don't try to fix each other. I, I guess that sounds a little bit strange in some respects, but I'm a white knight and I have this innate ability to be able to find a solution to anything and everything. Um, but I found recently that there's not a solution to everything. I joke that my wand is broken. Uh, so when people don't try to fix me, I kind of feel a certain amount of relief. Um, it's just hard to sit and think about it at times because I don't need fixing. Um, I am a work in progress and I like to see that I can achieve these things at the end of the day myself. And it gets very frustrating. I know that people are only trying to help. But for me, it was a certain amount of frustration in the first instances with when I lost my husband. They would try and fix me because they would come and do cleaning in the house. That triggers me. My place is an untidy mess, and that's part of my ADHD, which I understand. So anybody who comes in and tries to fix that is trying to fix something about me that is not fixable and does not need fixing. So yeah, if they don't try to fix me, that's when I truly feel seen.
Mm. Wow. Yeah, that's great insight, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this something, because you spoke about the personal development over the last 4 years, is this something that's you've realized through that time, or you've always known that about you?
No, the last 4 years, 5 years. So basically, COVID was one of those things that, we all know about COVID. What we don't know about COVID is how it affected some people. And this is when I talk about the prize and the journey and things like that, and people not actually truly understanding what's in the background. And at that time, I was on my own in my practice. I had something like nearly 1,000 tax returns I was preparing a year. And then the government put onto us JobKeeper, all those sorts of things. They gave us the stay-at-home mandate unless you were going to see someone who was an essential service. Luckily, I was considered an essential service. So people would just drop in because they were looking for looking for that human touch. They just needed to be around people because human beings are, we need those groups around us. We need people. And so I became the center for a lot of people's world, which put an awful lot of pressure on me. So while they were seeing me during the day, I wasn't then getting any work done. So I would then be working through the night to get the work done for the government deadlines and things like that. So COVID then for me was almost a PTSD trigger. And as a result of that, then I've had to do an awful lot of work on myself to get well again. And then throw into the mix losing your husband and losing your next door neighbors. My next door neighbor lost her husband 7 weeks before I lost mine. Um, Watching that going around us, it was either, basically die with them or grow as a result of it. And I chose the grow. That was 4 years ago. There's been a lot of tears. There's been a lot of visits to psychologists, a lot of visits with business coaches, mentors. And at the end of it, I like to think that I've spent my money wisely and my time wisely so that I can now help other people as well.
Yeah,
Um,
a lot of unpacking by the sounds of things.
oh, you could say that, yes.
Mm,
And there's still an awful lot to go.
yeah.
You know, people are like an onion, you peel off one layer and you get another layer and another layer,
Mm,
another layer. And each layer has something different to offer.
yeah. Yeah, that's right. If you could send a message back to your younger self, message and not advice, what would that be?
My younger self carried a lot of responsibility, and a lot of pressure, uh, self-inflicted, in the sense that I was the oldest of two girls. So I was always to be the reliable one, had to be the one to do things properly, had to be the one to get the good grades, all those sorts of things. But it always comes at a cost. So I think the message would be reassurance. Um, you are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to be you. You are allowed to have things like ADHD. You are allowed to learn and understand about those things, and that being strong doesn't mean you're unbreakable. Strong
Mm.
just means that you've lived a really good life of learning and understanding and helping other people. And yes, you are still allowed to break.
Hmm. Hmm. Very good. What does healing look like for you now?
Steadiness. Um, it's not about what I've lost. It's not about trying to get past what I've lost. It's learning how to move forward, because what's happened in the past helps to define who you are, and how much of that keeps defining who you are is up to you, and how much you let it. Um, Losing my husband doesn't define me as a person, it defines me as a widow. It doesn't continue to define me. It just means that we had a great love. And I certainly will never forget him. And there's a lot of people around who will never, ever forget him. Um, but I think for me to move forward, it's just being steady, putting boundaries in place so that I can stay steady and guard my energy, so that I can stay grounded and do what needs to be done for the people that I need to support, whether they're clients, my friends, my neighbours, anyone who needs my services, basically. And I'm not going to sacrifice myself anymore the way I did during COVID, because that was just stupid, and I was also a lot younger. Uh, so healing for me is doing what's right for me now. And if it means putting in place boundaries and saying no to some things, then yep, that's what's got to happen.
Hmm. Yeah. Is there anything else that you'd like to share about Grit and Grace or Donna? The
Oh my God. Haven't I done enough, Julie?
I just didn't know if there was something, a little pocket of gold that you wanted to share.
Oh, there's always pockets of gold around here. We live in Gympie, darling, so of course there's going to be pockets of gold.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's right.
um, well, yeah, I suppose I have said yes to a few other things that I probably question whether I should have, but I've said yes to being the treasurer for Gold Rush. So we're going to bring back Gold Rush in 2026 for Gympie. It's going to be the procession, and we're going to have some cocktail parties, and eventually leading into 2027, which will be the 160th anniversary of Gympie. So that's a little bit of an exciting thing that's going on in the background. I love getting involved in community stuff now. So yeah, Gold Rush is the little tick the box thing there. I love being involved with the local women in business network. It's called She Is. It's a great atmosphere, great positive atmosphere. Ellen's doing a great job in bringing together some really, really good speakers at events every month. So it's something to be, just lost my train of thought completely. Um,
Where's
it's a
that
game
held at?
changer. So various places around town. So you just keep your eye on the Facebook page. Once a month, there's an in-person meetup. This month what is it, on the 20th of May, I think it is. It's a She Is Wise is the theme of the evening up at Surface Hill. So that's, yeah, it's a great place for women to find some support. And it's something that was around when my husband was still with us, and he could see the value, so much of the value in that he was sitting there saying, I don't know why there isn't something like this for men in this town. And I said, well, there's a very good reason for that, because no blokes will get off their backsides and actually do anything like this. So he was certainly considering his way forward with that. And I know that he's looking over my shoulder every day with what I do. I think he's probably the one that gave me the final kick in the bum to say, get out there and launch your podcast, girl. And then on this weekend, I've just done an all-nighter on Saturday night. So while everybody else was sleeping, I was online with Joseph Michelli. He's a world-renowned marketing expert. He had a day's event in New York. So 8 hours online on Saturday night, learning about marketing and creating wow factors and all the wonderful things that you can bring into your businesses. So yeah, not just an accountant anymore. There's so much more.
Wow, so much I don't know about you, Donna, hey? I didn't
Yes,
even
yeah.
know about this women's group thing. That's how much
Oh,
I'm in
no,
my
well,
little burrow.
you will. You will get outside your burrow, darling.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess, yeah. And there's a book in the works. Probably probably before the 30th of June it'll be published. No, not probably. It will be published before the 30th of June. I was talking about it 30th of June last year. My husband decided to interrupt things, so it didn't get finished. So now 30th of June this year is going to be launch date.
Excellent. Do we have a title or is it all hush hush for the moment?
Just a little bit hush hush at the moment because I keep going backwards and forwards with the name. So um, at the moment, I'm leaning towards having the grit and grace in the title as well. So stay tuned.
Yes, I will be. So if you want to watch Grit and Grace and be in touch with what Donna's up to, all the links are below. So it's worth a look. And I should probably keep an eye on the women's networking thing that's happening and yeah, head along to one of them or two of them or however many of them.
Once a
Yeah.
month,
So
it's a great
once a
time.
month, I'll have to do that. Well, thank you very much for sharing this moment with us. I hope something in this conversation stays with you, opens something up in you, or simply made you feel seen. If this episode moved you, feel free to share it with someone who might need it too. And if you'd like to continue the journey with us, be sure to subscribe and stay connected. Until next time, take care of your heart and remember your story matters. Thank you, Donna.
Thanks, Julie.